for its monthly auto landing. So, okay, no problem. So we set up for that, briefed that, and then we came in and we did it as part of the maintenance program. So it wasn't even, you know, I've done approaches to minimums at Cat 1, and then we've always seen it and disconnected and landed. But Cat 3, we haven't. But you know why, brother? That's because the places I go, we don't really have a whole lot of low visibility. I don't really fly in the Northeast. I don't go out to the Midwest. I don't go where there's ice. The places I go, the ice is in the drinks. Okay? I go to Punta Cana, I go down to St. Croix, I go hang out in the Caribbean, you know? So, but that's because I'm a spoiled pilot where I'm at, you know, exactly. So anyway, all right, nonetheless, let's look at this real quick, because there's a lot of, I think, somewhat confusion between fail operational, fail passive. And I'm going to shed some light on Cat 3 ABC, which is actually gone. Okay, you've heard of that before, so we'll talk a little bit about that. So what is fail operational? Yeah, here's the easiest way to understand fail operational. Okay, the fail operational status of a plane means the following: the airplane is healthy. It started out healthy. There's no problems with the plane. I don't have any MELs. I don't have any problems with the plane. Everything is cool with the plane. You with me? Okay, so we're shooting the approach. If a failure occurs, the airplane will continue to operate to a landing. That's the easiest, simplest way. Okay, in the world of Airbus, fail operational on your FMA is going to read Cat 3 dual. Huh, you on unit, you must fly Airbus. All right? In the world of Boeing, it'll say 2 channels. Okay, it doesn't really say Cat 3 dual, Cat 3 single. Dual channel. Okay. In the event of a failure, the approach, flare, and landing can be completed by the remaining part of the automatic system. That's it, right? So how do I say that simply? If there's a failure, it'll operate to landing. That's your Cat 3 fail operational. Fail passive. In the event of a failure, there's no significant deviation of airplane trim, flight path, or altitude, but the landing will not be completed automatically. Okay? So how do I simply understand that one? Fail passive. This usually means the airplane is not healthy. The airplane has started the approach with a problem. We have some kind of issue. MEL, something's broken. Doesn't mean it can't auto land. What it does mean, however, is that if there is, it already has a failure. So if it gets subjected to an additional failure somewhere on the approach, it will take a passive approach. What does a passive approach mean? That means that there will be no significant deviation of trim, flight path, or altitude. It's just going to stay where it is. Descending probably on the 3-degree profile, right? It's right there. But it's not going to auto land. So you're not going to get the flare capability, okay? And the result of that is that fail operational, we have an alert height, AH, and fail passive, we have a decision height, DH. Does anybody know the difference between an alert height and a decision height? As Bruce would say, for a free trip to Hawaii and a brand new Mercedes-Benz. Okay.
In the left height, it's just a warning. This is warning height.
That's right.
We don't have to see the runway at alert height.
That's right.
Yes. But in decision height, we have to see just at least 3 segments of the approach line or the other things to notify there is runway.
That's right. That's right. Perfect. You must be an instructor. Actually, he is. He is an instructor in his company. Are you like the top dog instructor, or?
No.
No? Or are you just saying
a brunt of the litter?
Huh? You're just saying that.
Just I know, just a little.
Yeah, no, I know you have a good
guys
idea.
know already.
A lot of your pilot group, most of your pilot group knows you probably, right? I know you're some top dog over there, man. Yeah. So look, let's simplify this, okay? Because I find when we can simplify, you're going to understand it better, okay? What is an alert height? It is what it sounds like. Do not complicate it. There is no decision to be made. The decision has been made. What's the decision? We're landing. Whether I see it or I don't see it, it doesn't matter. We're going to land. So what is it doing then? It's just alerting me that we have reached the height where, which is usually 100 feet, usually when it says 100, at least where I fly, the FO will announce 100, and then the captain will say, landing. But I don't see anything. Good, you're landing. Always, you're landing. If you're doing Cat 3 fail operational or dual channel. Yeah? Fail passive, there's a decision height. The decision height is usually 50 feet. Okay? And at 50 feet, you gotta make a decision. The decision is you either see something and land, or you don't see something and you go around. Now, why is it 50 feet? The reason it's 50 feet is because by regulation, the flight crew should have 1 to 3 seconds to establish visual contact with the landing surface. So they use 50 feet, right? And at that point, we gotta make a decision. Now, have you heard of RVR transmissometers before? Transmissometer. It's too early for these big words, I know. Huh? Transmissometer. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Take that to Korea, dude. You're gonna sound very smart. Okay, tell them, look, we just learned about transmissometers in the ATP CTP class. Let me share with you what it is. There are 3, sometimes 4.
That's the detector.
Yes, sir. Touchdown, mid,
Roll out.
roll out, okay? The 4th one, which is not common, is far end, okay? You don't find that in very many places. I think Denver has it in Seattle because there's always fog there, but most places don't have that. Touch, mid, and roll out, okay? Now, when there's Cat 3 operations in effect, yeah, you're gonna get an ATIS, and the ATIS is gonna say, you're gonna know there's Cat 3 operations, because you're gonna see RVR values, right? Which are gonna say something to the effect of 700, 700, 300. Or it'll say something like 600, 600, 300, or 300, 300, 300, whatever it is, right? Touch, mid, roll. Now, when we're talking about Cat 3 operations, I always need, out of these transmissometers, I need 2 out of the 3 transmissometers to be operational and reporting. Okay? Now, let's talk about the 2 out of the 3 for a minute. In the case, so that means 1 can be inoperative, right? In the case of the fail operational, any one of these 3 can be inoperative. So the ATIS could say, touchdown, missing, mid 7, roll out 3. It could say touch 7, mid 7, roll out missing. Any one of the 3 could be missing. Cool? Okay, in the fail passive, I still need 2 out of the 3. However, the touchdown zone is required. Now, why would the touchdown zone be required? I have to see, because I have a decision height. And because I have a DH, I need a touchdown report. See how here I have an alert height? Since here there's no decision to be made, it doesn't matter. Right? You follow what I'm saying? But here I gotta see something, so I gotta have a touchdown report. Cool? Okay, so let's say now, by the way, the typical fail operational op specs is 300, 300, 300. Op specs is a term that stands for operation specifications that each airline has, that basically lays out what that airline is allowed, inside of what parameters they are allowed to conduct their operation, down to what visibility, into what runways, using what approaches, et cetera, okay? So most places, at least here in the US, are 300, 300, 300, and for fail passive, usually it's 600, 400, 300. Now what you'll notice, and then for Cat 2, by the way, okay, I'll just put Cat 2 down here. Cat 2 has a DH, decision height. So based on having a decision height, do we need a touchdown RVR? We do, right? And most times, just so you know, the required is 12, 6, 3. 1200, 600, 300. That's your Cat 2, right there. Okay, you could sometimes, by the way, go down to 1,000. If you look at the footer of a chart, let me show this to you really quick. What does the footer mean? That means the bottom part of the chart. Let's see. There's Seattle, this is Cat 3. Oh, actually this one has the note I was looking for. Perfect. RVR 1000, authorized with specific op-spec, M-spec, or LOA approval, and use of autopilot, of Autoland, or HUD to touchdown. Now, I'm guessing you haven't used a HUD before, a heads-up display. Have you?
F-16?
In the F-16, okay. Let me rephrase the question. In the A320, have you used a HUD? Okay.
You
Do you know why I say that? Because I haven't seen an A320 with a heads-up display. They might be out there.
In Korea, they don't.
They don't have them?
They do.
Oh, they do have them?
Yeah.
Okay,
Only on Japanese side.
okay. You've
No,
used
no,
a
no,
HUD.
both sides.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah, only because we.
I wanna try that. I've never landed on a HUD.
Well, it's nice.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
Bruce.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Single engine operations, it makes the single engine ILS approach so easy.
Simple.
Yeah, it does.
And you have it right here in Boeing.
That's the thing. I've gone there, I go on the sim, and I've never even thought to like put it down.
Yeah, you bring it down.
Yeah.
But honestly, I would go in it with one of you guys, because I don't know how to use that thing.
Yeah, I'll show
Yeah.
you.
Okay, good. So this chart, right? Pay attention to the footer or to the footnote on the bottom, because oftentimes the footnote will tell you, hey, you can actually go lower than what you think you can go. Now, this note applies to Cat 2, because you'll notice here, Cat 2, RVR requires 12, and it has the 1, which tells me there's a footnote, so then I go to the 1, and I can read RVR 1000, authorized, right? So now what you gotta do is think to yourself, do I have the op spec at the place that I'm flying, or am I approved to do it? Do I have a heads-up display, right? Most places that are on a Cat 2-3 operation program are gonna have this op spec, but just be sure before you accept something that you can't legally accept. Okay, so here's what's interesting. Rollout is 300 for fail operation. For fail passive, it's 300. For Cat 2, it's 300. It's always 300. It never changes. How come it's never 200? Or how come it's never 600, right? Well, it's because 300 is the lowest I can go for SMIGs. That's what? It's actually CS, right? Control system, I think it is. SMIGs taxi, which is your low visibility taxi, the lowest RVR we can basically taxi with is 300. So that's why the 3 never changes. And that is a definitive constant between Cat 3 fail operational, fail passive, and also the Cat 2 approach. All right? Now, let's bring some light to Cat 3A, Cat 3B, Cat 3C. How many of you have heard of Cat 3A, Cat 3B, Cat 3C?
Before 2021, December? Yeah, before, we used that, to be honest, Cat 3, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie.
That's right.
But after, since late 2021,
That's right.
all of the concept have changed. Cat 3 dual, Cat 3 single. Oh, no. Fail operation, fail passive.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, very nice, very nice. So let's talk about that, because I do see confusion surrounding this. This is Seattle ILS 16 right, Cat 2 and 3, right? Let's say you're flying into Seattle, okay? And this area gets foggy. I used to live up here for a few years. It definitely gets foggy. And man, you're on your approach setup just prior to top of descent. You pull the ATIS, and the ATIS says, landing runway 16 right, RVR 300, 300, 300. Okay, so now I know immediately Cat 3 operations are in effect. Okay, so now I need to go through a series of, I always use the same steps. Okay, first question is the airplane healthy? Right? What does that mean? Do I have an MEL that's going to affect my landing capability, etc. Right? Okay. In the bus, we have the benefit that you can hit the status in the status page, it tells you Cat 3 single only or Cat 3 dual, it tells you your landing capability, right? So that's a beautiful thing. Okay, so the first question is the aircraft healthy? What I'm really trying to understand is my capability fail operational or fail passive? If it's healthy, it's fail operational. If it's not, it's fail passive. All right, in the Boeing world, can I do dual channel or not? How do I know? Is the airplane healthy? Yes. Okay, dual channel. The airplane is crippled, fail passive. It's the same story, right? Okay, so let's say we have a healthy airplane. Okay, I can do fail operational approaches. So I've established that. The next question I have, so that's the first step. Is it healthy? It is. Okay, good. So number one, we're gonna do a fail operational approach. Perfect. The second question, what is my airline's operating specifications for fail operational approaches? And you would know that based on where you fly. It's very likely it's the standard 333. It's 333. Perfect. Third thing, what does the chart say? Because the one that the ATIS has to report is the more conservative out of the two, right? So I go to the chart and I look down here and I say, okay, what do we got? Oh, RVR, 300. Now, this number applies to the touchdown in the midpoint RVR value. Remember, the rollout is always 3. So forget about the rollout, because the rollout's not going to change. It's 300. So I see this, RVR 3, and immediately I think the ATIS must report 333. So if the ATIS is reporting, well, if it's reporting this, they're not going to shoot the approaches. They wouldn't be advertising. If it's saying 233, I can't do 16 right. You follow what I'm saying? Wouldn't be able to. Oh no, but 16 left has 333. Okay, good. We're going to 16 left. Right? Which is unlikely in Seattle because they use that one to depart. Maybe we go to 16-7. Okay, so now we go to the ATIS, and the ATIS reports 333 or 433. Perfect. Okay, so what's the condition of the plane? What does the op spec say? What does the chart say? The chart says 3, perfect. What does the ATIS say? Man, that's a lot of things to figure out. What does it say? Okay, but this is why people get lost. You gotta understand, 2017, I get hired at the airline I'm flying right now. Not to fly, but to teach ground school. And I'm doing a recurrent ground school primarily in 3 different locations, Lauderdale, Dallas, and Vegas. And part of the ground school was always a Cat 3 exercise, where I would review all these things, and then we would hand out exercises, and then, okay, let's go through and see, you know, if you have a good understanding of how to determine RVR values and blah, 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 right? It's amazing how easy it is to get lost in this. And the reality of it is most times we don't do Cat 3 approaches, right? Most times, what do? A visual approach backed up with an ILS. Usually that's what we do when we're flying, or an RNAV approach. Or maybe some kind of instrument approach, but the weather is maybe 1,000 overcast. We almost always break out and we can see something. Sometimes it gets down low, especially in the winter. You're going up north now, right? You get into the stuff. But the reality of it is most times it's not you know, Cat 3 operations that are in effect. So it's easy to get lost in this, right? And so what I venture to tell you is, hey, at least if I have these 4 steps, I can organize myself. You know, hey, what's the operating capability of the plane? What is the op spec? What does the chart say? What does the ATIS say? Okay, good. So now we've established over here, hey man, I look over here, this is Cat 3, but it doesn't say Cat 3A, or Cat 3B, or Cat 3C.
Just 300.
That's right.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna throw you for a loop, Park. I'm gonna throw you out of the ballpark, Park. You ready? Okay. All right. Let me find for you Denver. 3-4 right. Huh? What's going on? We got Cat 3A, Cat 3B, Cat 3C in Denver. Okay, let me see the date of this. Effective 14th of April, 2023. It's fairly current. This year.
This correct.
Oh, yeah. So what's the story? All right. I'm going to tell you what the story is. Guess what? You are right. We actually still no longer have 3A, 3B, and 3C. Okay? But it's published. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even apply. Well, then what do I do? If I'm flying into Denver now, and I see 3A, 3B, 3C, what does this even mean? Okay, here's what you do. What applies here is the lowest published minimum. So, what has happened is they haven't gotten around to changing all the charts. Right? Seattle has been changed because Seattle goes Cat 3 frequently. So the ones that are priority airports, they have gotten around to making the revision, right? But some of these have not yet actually seen the change. Now they will. Maybe if you come to CTP next year, I won't be able to show you this anymore. Okay? Maybe they have made the change by that point. But this still happens, right? And so if you're out there flying, you just received this ground school. Okay, now I gotta go do a flight to Denver. Denver happens to be Cat 3. They're operating north operation, 3-4 right. I pull up the chart, Cat 3A, B, and C. Okay, now what do? So I find the lowest published minimum. What is the lowest published minimum?
3.
This is the only number that matters. The only one. What about A that says RVR 7? Disregard. This has nothing to do with nothing at all. They just haven't gotten around to changing it. So it's 3 only. Okay, good. So now I come over here and I say, well, what does the chart say? Well, the chart says 3. And it applies to what? Touch and mid. And roll out. Roll out is always 3. So touch and mid. So 3, 3, 3 would be the example here, right? Now, let's say you show up to the plane and you have some MEL issue. And the MEL issue says, you can go, you can dispatch, no problem, but it says Cat 3 single only, which is fail passive. Okay, good, I can fly in with fail passive, right? Perfect. So, we're cruising into Denver and the weather deteriorated and we didn't expect it to deteriorate, but it did. And now we have to go through our 4 steps. Okay, step number 1. What is the aircraft capability? Fail passive. Okay, perfect. It's a fail passive airplane. So we're going to change this now to fail passive. Okay, what are the op specs for fail passive? That would depend on your carrier, but probably it's the standard 643. Okay, so now I got to say, all right, it's 643. What does the chart say? And we're going into Denver. Remember, I go to the lowest published minimum, always. It says 3. Okay, so it doesn't mean I can't do the approach yet, all right? It just says that the chart is asking for 300 RVR. Okay, good. So the chart says I need 3, 3, 3. My op spec says I need 6, 4, 3. So that means the ATIS is gonna have to report at least this. 6, 4, 3. You follow what I'm saying?
The most conservative.
The more conservative. For me to be able to shoot it. What if there's some other airplane that's flying in that is not fail passive? They are fail operational. They could take it down to 3 then. The reason we're limited is because the airplane is crippled. You follow that?
So we can't shoot, right?
Okay, well, we don't know what the ATIS says yet. Okay, now let's say I pull the ATIS report. We're gonna go through it again, Park.
Yeah.
Because I see you lost in space, brother.
Oh, yeah.
It's all good. We're gonna reel you back in. Okay, no, and we'll do it again, very simply. Let's say now, for the sake of conversation, we're gonna wrap this up and put a bow on it, then we're gonna start this over again. The ATIS reports 6, 4, 3. Okay, I needed 6, 4, 3. I can do it. Let's now say the ATIS reported 5, 4, 3. We can't do it, right? But wait a minute. there's another airplane ahead of us. They're going in. They're going in. Why? Because they're not fail passive. They're fail operational. They don't have a messed up plane. We got the messed up plane. So when they did their little exercise, here's what they found out. I'm fail operational. I can do it with 333. The chart says 333. The ATIS says 533, which is more than what I need. So I'm going in. The reason I couldn't go in was because I was in a messed up plane. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, this, I'm telling you, from a year between 2017 and 2018 of doing this, ground school, it is so easy to have very highly qualified people go through this exercise and mess it all up and say, I could do it, and it would technically be illegal to go shoot an approach when the low minimums that you can even accept, right? So this is why, man, I would spend, the curriculum would be like, okay, we gotta spend 30 or 45 minutes, whatever it was, on 0.8 hours, so close to like 45 minutes on Cat 3 exercises. I wouldn't spend 45 minutes on Cat 3. I'm like, we're probably doing half a day on Cat 3, because I don't want you to go fly an airplane illegally and to shoot some approach you shouldn't be shooting. So let's do it again, all right? Very simple. Let's do it again. You show up to your plane. You check the MEL. The MEL says you have some kind of failure that is going to hinder the landing capability, okay? And the MEL will tell you. It'll say Cat 3 single only, or it'll say single channel only, dual channel not authorized, or fail operational not authorized, whatever. Okay, good. So I'm fail passive. Okay. So immediately I know. That's it. I'm fail passive. What does my op spec say? 643. If we run into any weather today, I know I can do 643. Cool? Now we blast off, and we're headed into whatever airport. We'll say Denver, because this happens to be the chart that's up, and the complex one that has ABC that doesn't apply. So we go in, and we say, hey man, we're approaching, the ATIS comes out, oop, low visibility operations in effect. Can I shoot it? Well, I know I'm fail passive, I know it's 643. The chart says I could technically go down to 3 if
Yeah.
I had the capability,
Yeah.
but I don't,
Yes.
right? Okay, so the chart says 3. What does the ATIS say? Let's say the ATIS says 773. I can go in. You see, step 2 and step 3 are critical. Because what you're trying to figure out there is by which one am I limited? Am I limited by op spec, or am I limited by chart? And that will determine if I can shoot the approach or not when I get the ATIS.
Sir, I'm still a little bit confusing. So, our aircraft